What's up, guys? I am with my friend Danny Gets Fit right now, and I wanted to sit down and do Choppin' It Up. We're at the Olympia. We're actually back at the hotel and stuff, and
yes.
He has an awesome story. Straight up lost, how much did you lose?
It's been 140 pounds in 2 years.
Where'd you start at?
312 pounds, and then I got to 170.
That's crazy.
So 142.
So you guys have heard Obese to Beast story before. It's crazy inspiring stuff.
Big influencer, how I got to where I got today.
It's awesome. It's so cool.
Same with you.
But it's a big like even though the stories are similar, they both lost tons of weight. It's a big difference in how they've done it, and I feel like everybody has like a slightly different story that can relate to different people. So I wanted to sit down, do a Choppin' It Up. If you guys aren't familiar with Choppin' It Ups, I haven't done them in a long time. Basically, they're all the way through videos. There's no editing here. We're just gonna have a conversation. Really, it's like as if you are just sitting there next to us in a conversation that we're already having and just chilling out, kind of like a podcast. So this is a good thing to listen to while you're doing cardio, driving to work, or whatever it is. We're just gonna go through it and just see where this goes. So what made you decide you actually wanted to lose weight?
Yeah. Okay, so to get there though, so there's a video that I made going more in depth on my channel about it. It's called My Story of Drugs and Losing My Parents and stuff. So essentially the basis of the start of my life was just my parents were never together, lots of drugs involved. Drugs ended up taking both of their lives. So I was in foster care in and out. And so when I started gaining the weight, because I wasn't always big, like I was always like a bigger than average guy, but then I kind of like went up and down as like puberty kicked in. Like I went up, and then puberty kicked in, just lost some weight, and then I went up again.
You were never like morbidly obese as a kid?
No, but I was always like a chubby, fat. And then so when it started to get bad is when I just entered a new foster home, and this foster home actually was like the one that like the family actually cared about me and everything.
That's awesome.
But so what happened was all leading that had a big part in my life, and then it all led up to this one day. I was going to a new high school. I'd always gone to a Christian school, so didn't have to deal with like a whole lot of bullying. Of course, like the little stuff of like when I'd get picked last for sports because I was like called fat and whatnot. But didn't have to deal with any physical stuff. So this was the first time anything physical ever happened. So essentially, being the chubby kid, like this girl started flirting with me through text messages, and she made it seem like everything was good. And then the next day at school, two guys came and like pushed me against the wall and were like, "Leave this girl alone. You're, weirding her out." And I was like so confused because like I was just like I thought she liked me. I thought we were like just talking. And I honestly like bawled and like left and went home. And that grade 10 year, I didn't go to school for like 6 months.
Damn.
So during that 6 months, I literally like slept in till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock every day. And then I would just eat, play video games all day. My mom would be like, "Go to school." I'd be like, "Nope, no thanks."
And it's just because you just didn't want to have to deal with hitting like, those kids again.
Yeah, I was afraid of like, well, they never hit me, but they like pushed me up. And I just ran.
Just having to like deal with them again.
Just to deal like because I did try going back, and like their friends would follow me around school and like make things and that was like the only thing ever in life that I've experienced.
People do that, man. It's so stupid, bro.
It's the only thing in life I've actually experienced true anxiety over. Like I just froze and like broke down.
You're just like terrified.
And it still happens today. Like if anything violent ever happens around me, I just have to like get out of that situation. And that has to do with a lot of like what happened in the earlier years, just with the parents and the people they knew, stuff that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so that just isolated me. Like I used to be like a very out there person, open and doing whatever I could with a bunch of people. And then in high school, of course, I didn't really do the whole drugs and alcohol thing, so I couldn't be with those kids. So I just tried my best, and all of a sudden it was like the people that I thought I fit in with were just like no.
Yeah.
And so I just isolated myself.
That's always rough.
I just like isolated myself at home and just started playing video games and eating. And over the next 2 years, I went from like, next 2 years, over 5 years, I went from 180 pounds to 312. Damn. Just slowly.
What age?
Up and up and up and up and up.
That you started
from so grade 10 would have been like 16, and then to like. No, it would have been 14 to 19.
14, 19.
5 years, yeah.
And that was like when you got to your heaviest?
Yeah. So when I was right before my 19th birthday, and in April, I started a new job when I was 312 pounds at TELUS, which is just like a phone company in Canada for all you Americans.
I know, none of Americans know anything about what you're saying.
So say I worked for Verizon.
Yeah. How tall were you, by the way?
I'm 5'9".
5'9".
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I started working, and I'd always knew or known I was the like bigger kid, and I didn't really I don't know, I just didn't have the means to like really make it like a change. I tried like Weight Watchers once before. I tried, you know, just like I had this plate that showed you how much portions you were supposed to have in each meal, so I would like do that.
Yeah, there's like old school remedies for losing fat, right?
It's like this much starch, this much veggie, and this much protein. Tried that and lost like 5 pounds, but then would just go back to eating Doritos and Mountain Dew and play Call of Duty. That was like I literally became that
it's your
kid.
safe zone, right?
Yeah.
It's just comfortable as hell. You don't have to like worry or address anything, because you can continue watching TV and stuff while you're gaining weight, no problem.
Yeah. So started working at TELUS, and then I just had a coworker that went to the gym avidly, and he just was like, you want to come like with me one day? Because I was like, you know, you work out, can you help me? Because I'm overweight, obviously. And it was just like, you help me out lose a few pounds? Like I just want to like change somewhat, just to not. The main thing was I had sleep apnea from how big I was. So like literally, I would wake up like every day exhausted, like 6 alarms, and the sixth alarm would go off, and I'd still be like, nope, like it just wouldn't, like I wouldn't breathe at night properly. For those who know what sleep apnea is simply when you get big enough, the fat around your neck actually relaxes and rests against like your esophagus or wherever your not esophagus, where your breathing comes in.
Your breathe hole.
Yeah, and it suppresses it, so you like stop breathing, and then you like and then you start breathing again.
Your way out.
Yeah. So it's very hard in your body because your body's not getting enough oxygen during the night. So when you wake up, you're just like you feel like you're hungover almost. Yeah. And so it was just like it's just slowly got worse and worse as I got heavier and heavier. That was the main concern. Other than that, like when I used to go to the doctors, he was like, "You're getting really big," but he wasn't like your cholesterol's like it's not high. Like, you know, like you're overall pretty healthy. It's just obviously this is going to be a problem one day.
Yeah, luckily like you're a young kid, so you kind of have that benefit of being healthy.
Yeah, because even though I was like overweight and I always play video games, because I was so extroverted, and whenever people did want to do stuff, I would never let the weightness like stop me from doing it. I would just like
that's good.
I would just like push myself, and then I'd feel like dead the next day. Like if people want to play soccer, I would give my all, which wouldn't be a lot, but.
So I got a question. So like you said that you started eating because you were feeling really uncomfortable going to public school, where you were probably going to get made fun of by these kids and stuff, and so you just introverted. Yeah. Were you still like that after you gained the weight? Was it worse? Like, were you nervous to go out into public situations, maybe beyond high school, just going out to a restaurant or to the beach or like whatever? No, it just isolated me more at home, so I had a solid group of friends. And before I would go up to like anybody and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Danny." Like I would just like introduce myself. Whereas after that, I kind of just stuck to my group. Yeah. So I would stay home unless my group was doing something, and then I would go out with them. Yeah. So I kind of like comfort zoning your friends.
Yeah, I stuck to my comfort zone.
But you wouldn't like go out into a new club or something and start a new soccer team or something like where you have to.
Nope. The only reason I joined to play soccer was because my best friend was like on the team.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I stuck to just comfortable.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, and so I would try to give my all. So like, I think maybe that was why I wasn't like completely unhealthy. But of course, the obesity was like gonna take control eventually as it started with the sleep apnea. So yeah, the guy at work just started helping me out, and after like the first 2 months, all I did was diet-wise was just like eat less. Like I would just be like, "Hey, can I eat this?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, like that's a better option than what you used to do." So yeah. And so just because when you're at that like level of obesity, like your maintenance is so high, you can just make simple changes.
Replace certain things that are definitely not good ideas.
It makes a huge difference at the start. So I lost like 10 or 15 pounds in that first
pretty encouraging.
In 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the first in my life this is ever working.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Yeah, after trying those portion things and the weird Weight Watchers and Jenny Craigie type stuff.
I was still enjoying like life. Like I wasn't like, because you know when you think of like what dieting is and losing weight, it's like this is gonna be sacrificing, and I'm gonna have to like devote my entire life to get rid of this. And you know it's just simple changes at the start, created something, and then like I honestly loved working out and going to the gym. That was like a huge part of it as well, just because I liked what I was doing, right? Whereas like I didn't do a lot of cardio at the start, and everyone asked me that question whenever I do like Q&As and whatnot, like how much cardio did you do at the start? Do you do cardio now? Cardio, because cardio is just associated with fat loss. Yeah. And that not necessarily is always the case, because when you're an obese person, you're not going to want to do half an hour of stairs, like maybe like 2 seconds, peace, like go home. And that's what I did before, right? So once I got into weightlifting and I started seeing the results, I just stuck with it. Right. Yeah. So absolutely. And since then, it like even like about 6 months in or so, I'd lost 40 or 50 pounds, and it had changed how I acted around friends. Like my friends would be like, you know, you used to be a very negative person. You used to be hard to hang out with. Like during those younger years, like it was hard for me to make friends. Like I was known by my teachers as that, like, you know, you do well in school, but socially you struggle. Always struggled socially.
So you weren't necessarily playing the role of the comic relief, like Obese to Beast. He always the way he would cope with it was by making fun of himself before you could make fun of him.
Yeah, I wouldn't make fun of myself. I would just like, I would try weird things. I didn't completely push myself away from people. I would just try like weird things. I wouldn't joke about myself, but I would like joke about weird stuff. And then people were like,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay,
like you didn't know what the social norm quite was.
No, I was just, and then because like I actually struggled with like ADHD when I was younger. I still do today, like focus wise. So I would like just get in people's space, and like, hey, like me.
Yeah.
It wasn't the more joking thing. It was like, hey, I want to be your friend. Oh, okay, dude. No, I want to be your friend. Okay, like, okay. Like,
yeah.
And like I would try way too hard and push people away. So that was my thing. It wasn't like necessarily coming the comic relief. It was just like trying way too hard to have more friends and fit in.
Absolutely.
And that pushed people away. And I didn't know what I was doing wrong, so I would change to try like weird things. Absolutely. So that's probably what happened with like the.
I know how that feels a little bit, man. When I went from homeschool to high school, I was definitely like that, man. I would just be like, what do people want to see like in a friend? What do people want you to act like?
Yeah.
That's what I'll try to act like. But when you're not yourself and you're just trying to do what other people want you to be like or want you to act like, it never comes from genuine place. So people don't believe it, and then you're just like, this guy's annoying.
Yeah.
So you're saying after you started losing weight, this started to change a little bit, like the way you're acting pessimistically?
Yeah, like even my friends were like, you're like a nicer person to be around now. Like legitimately, like I didn't have to try so hard. I'd be like, hey man, how's it going? Like,
why
just
do you
relax. It's weird, like it just kind of happened, and I was like, really? Like I haven't really noticed, and I think like before I just didn't have a sense of like worth, like to be honest, like and even so I went to church a lot when I was younger as well. Was like really avid in youth groups, and like the pastors always say like, you know, you have things there, you have passion, but like you just like you try too hard, and they everyone saw it in me, just I never saw it. So I think once I got that like I'm worth something feeling, that I have purpose, like I like doing this, I want to like, you know, show other people that it's possible and help, and it started to become like easier for me to not have to try so hard because I felt like I was worth something to other people.
Yeah, you had value in yourself.
Yeah, I value myself, so if other people didn't see that, and it was like, okay, that's not my problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always try. Yeah, that's like such a good point what he just made. Like, once you value yourself, you realize that not every single person likes you. Yeah. And that's okay though, because you like you. Yeah. And so if you don't want to be my friend, then you're just pre-screening yourself out of my life. That's great. That's perfect.
Whereas before, like if anyone didn't like me, I'd be like, why? Like,
yeah, you'd be trying to analyze.
I'm so nice. I try to do everything you want. Like, but yeah, like not everyone's gonna like you in life, and that's just how it is. So I would just rather than like waste your time with all that stuff, it would just be like, okay, like, well, whatever.
Yeah, and it's such a healthier way to be.
Yeah, I was valuing myself, and then the confidence also comes with just like starting to. I think a lot of the, you know, like physical attraction isn't everyone's first go-to, but it has a big role in how honestly you feel. Like once you start to like see yourself as a better person physically, emotionally it improves, I feel.
Yeah.
And vice versa as well.
Yeah.
Once like everything kind of grows together. It's connected.
Absolutely. There's so many factors that.
Yeah, well, I just find a lot of people always focus on the emotional change, and like I've been really transparent with my pages, and like, no, at the start I wanted to honestly get chicks. Like I'm not gonna be dishonest about that. Like at the start I was like, I'm unattractive. I like girls that are attractive, but it's not working. So let's lose weight and get muscles, and then I'll get attractive girls. And
which is not necessarily a bad place to come from.
But it does sound like arrogant, I guess. It
just sounds vain.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily, I mean, when you're young, that is what you're focused on. What else? You ain't have a career or
now it's
rent to pay, nothing like that. You're just worrying about like, why do people not like me? And why do girls not want to like go on a date and give me that first kiss and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I just feel like not a lot of people cover that, and so people are always focused on the emotional side, and then those people that are starting out are like, well, I just want to look better. You know, like.
But then tell me
well, people don't realize that they have like an emotional barrier. I feel like people just, you know, think that, you know, they just want to look better and all this other stuff is just who they are. And that can be, like, it's not going to be this way for everyone. But, like, what I find a lot, you know, with some people is that they kind of just assume that that's the way they are and that can't change. Whereas if, you know, you work at it and you change, that is going to change with you for the most part. Unless some people will stay the same. But It's
Now
not.
tell me this: once you started losing the weight, because you originally were like that was one of your kind of factors that you were like, all right, if I start losing weight, then I can get more girls, right?
Yeah.
And it was so a little bit vain, right?
Yeah.
As you started losing weight, did it change? Was it still vanity, or did you start kind of valuing a different set of?
It changed, but there was a reason why, is because the Instagram started going, like tracking everything online, and then the people seeing it.
When did you start Instagram in your weight loss?
At the start, very start.
Oh,
yeah,
from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, I
actually didn't know that.
Yeah, if you go to the bottom, it's like
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like first days.
I think I joined
That's why I
in.
have all those clips and stuff, and they're
That's
all
awesome.
filtered because.
I've seen
so when I
those.
started posting Instagram stuff, it was all filtered, and like I would post captions like "back day, baby," like
Like you've been following some muscle dude on Instagram.
yeah,
You're
like
oh,
back getting a sick pump, like
Yeah.
That's what I
That's
said, like
definitely
hashtag beast mode, like
Yeah.
That's what I posted at the start
Gosh,
because
dude.
that's what I thought fitness was.
Killing
and
it.
Killing. I still say that though. I'm gonna kill workout today. But yeah, I posted from the very beginning because I was like, people will keep me accountable. Like that day, I literally was like, after that first month, I was like, I want to do this. Like, this has to happen. What is every step I can take to make it happen? Like I just was like, I had enough, and I was doing well. So I just was like, people will keep me accountable. So I started posting everything. I didn't do like as much as I do now. But once I, that first like 200 followers or so, that people would comment like, keep it up, man. Like, good job. It just like, it changed. Like it first started for me, and then I realized that it can help. Once I like had a decent, like my first transformation photo, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. I want to do this. That like first question or statement that I had inspired someone else to do something, I was like, I gotta be doing this for a different reason. Like,
Yeah.
I like, of course, everyone who's in this is gonna, do it for themselves as well. It's all part of it. But it just became a more focus to do it because other people are going to be benefited by it, which you've stated so multiple times is why you do this.
Absolutely.
Like, why would I stop this? Like, how many hundreds of people aren't going to get their chance if I quit doing what I do?
Absolutely.
And
it's a huge extrinsic motivation.
yeah, like that's why it changed. I don't know if it would have changed if I hadn't found that other means to do it.
And who knows if you would have continued all the way through, all the way to the end, if you didn't have an extra, like when you have people who are counting, not necessarily like keeping you accountable, but are counting on you to keep them accountable. Yeah. Because they can come in and be like, okay, this week he lost weight again. All right, I need to keep that going too because I can depend on next Wednesday. Danny's gonna update, and I need to be on the same track as he is. Totally, it's a huge factor, man. Like the whole Accutane series for me, like that was a huge factor of me continuing because who knew? I didn't know if I wanted to do 78 episodes of it. Yeah. But after 20 episodes, people were like, "This is helping me so much," and then it just inspires you to keep going for sure.
Which honestly, like, because I've never struggled with terrible acne. Like I had really bad T-zone when I was younger. But that's crazy to me that people found that as like, I would never have thought to look for a YouTube video about how to help me with acne. That's so like to me that's actually so cool that you made it with that. Like
it's so rad, bro. You can help people in the craziest, most unique ways that you wouldn't expect to be. You're like, this is pedantic. I'm just posting a picture of me in the beginning, and I feel like I haven't done anything. And then you're like, all right, I lost 5 pounds. I'm not Steve Cook yet. Like, so why am I? Yeah. But you don't realize that for somebody out there that has a quiet voice, they don't comment, you don't hear about them, they're sitting there every day and they're just being inspired by you. Or maybe they're starting maybe someone's telling their story right now to their friend and they're like, Danny gets fit. I was following him in the beginning. I watched him go all the way down and it kept me on track. Yeah. Like, you never know.
And one thing I really try to focus on with my page as well is that it's not always going to be like up.
Absolutely.
Like, totally. If there is struggles and not a lot of like fitness or people in general like keep track of that. Like they won't be transparent and open when those times come. So I've tried to really be like, if I gain 10 pounds in a weekend, then I'm like, hey, this weekend went bad, guys. Like, but that's just one of the things that happens. Let's continue on. Let's strive for the next goal. Because I realized that like those posts actually people like almost more than the regular ones because they were like, holy crap, I just failed last night. Yeah. And I was like, I was done. And then you're still going. So I have to still go. And
it helps them know that it's not all or nothing. It's not black and white. That's great. You go dipping out.
And it's silly, but like, once you gain a following, people like look up to you, which is the weirdest thing to me. But it happens, and then when they just assume you're always doing awesome. But they're like, that's like, I watch this guy every day. He's killing it. He's awesome. And then if you just keep posting his stuff, they're like, he's still doing awesome, I guess.
That's true. Yeah,
and then you kind of lose that tie between like reality,
transparency,
people liking you, and then you just being like this guy who posts stuff online.
Absolutely.
Right?
Let me ask you this.
So-
When you did your initial big weight loss, you know, because now you've like bulked and cut a few times after you've lost the big weight, just like Obese Beast and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
When you were doing that initial big weight loss, did you ever run into a point where you did either like stall out or start gaining weight back, or kind of lose motivation and start eating wrong or anything like that?
Yeah. Not for the main bulk of it. Like I was just.
You were just like fired up. And
I was just
kept
going.
wanting to go.
Yeah.
Because I understand that. I mean, I picked up a weight and I didn't stop lifting every single day, 6 days a week for 9 years. Like it just didn't.
Yeah, it won't be that way for everyone. But like,
no, definitely not.
Yeah. But sometimes it just happens. And for me, what I think one of the beneficial things I did was every 10 pounds, I gave myself like a weekend to just whatever. And that's not gonna work for everyone because some people don't have like I sometimes will be able to stop myself after a weekend, and then sometimes it'll turn into like a week.
Sure.
Right? But at the start, I was like, I know I've been doing well. I'm just gonna give myself this little time, and then get right back to the next 10 pounds the next month.
It's a good way to make 100 pounds a lot less daunting.
Yeah, so like every 10 pounds I lost, I would take a weekend, usually go up like a pound, but then just another 10 pounds to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like you climb one staircase and then you take a rest for a day and climb
10.
another staircase. That's awesome. But if you climb 100 stairs at once, it's going to be way harder.
And one thing I always plug on my Instagram as well is looking at it like a yearly basis. Like if you fail one day out of a year, that's 1 to 365. Like 365.
Your ratio is still pretty
10
good.
to 365. I failed
Still
4
great.
months in a row.
You got it, bro. You got it. 120.
120 days. You're like you could fail for an entire half a year, and like then your ratio is getting closer.
True.
But there's so many days. Like there's so many days to do better than to do worse.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I've had my share of like going up a few pounds. Okay, gotta get back to it. Go back down again. Okay, I lost the 10 pounds. Sweet. Go up. It does happen. The main thing was when I got down to 180, and I was like, okay, I want to try this lean bulk thing. First time giving myself that full range of room, like trying to eat more.
Yeah.
I went back up about 25 pounds, like 2 months.
That's something good to point out.
Yeah.
Because as you transition after you've lost
It wasn't
the weight,
a proper bulk.
Yeah.
It was like
Once you lose the main mass of the weight, you're not going to continue eating in a deficit trying to lose weight if you're like 160 pounds, and that's proper. So you are going to have to transition back into a normal, average, not gaining or losing, just living life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes that's not going to work. Like you're so used to it. If you do something for a year, bro, that becomes what you do. Going and doing your cardio, and you like have the timing where you're like, all right, I don't eat in the morning, and I have like a little bit of drink, and then I get to my lunch, and then I eat, or whatever the plan is, or whatever.
And it's honestly been like a big struggle for me. Like it's been the hardest part of this journey. And it hasn't been losing weight was hard, but that was just the start. And with every weight loss thing, the hardest part is maintaining. That's always the toughest part.
Because losing weight is straightforward.
Yeah, losing weight, you do it. To maintain that lifestyle afterwards is the most difficult part, and I've struggled to do it without being in a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried once to come out, which was the time I gained back weight, and then since then I've just been like going down, and then I'll spend a weekend, and I'll start going cut again, and I'll spend so I'm like.
So would you say that you're still learning?
I know what I need to do, but it's applying it is different.
Yeah.
Like it's right now it's my biggest mindset struggle, and I was actually gonna make a video about this soon, about how I am like, the reason I'm starting a bulk next month because I've gotten to low where I want to be, and I've hired a coach just because I need that reassurance. To help me out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to say that's okay to look for assistance. That's the only reason I'm here is because I asked that coworker, or he offered to help me go to the gym. Like not everyone's gonna be able to do it on their own, and that's fine.
Yeah, reaching out.
Like a lot of people will be like, if you don't do it for, like I made a post about this the other day. Is so many people say if you don't do it for yourself, you're never gonna do it, which a lot of times isn't accurate. Like if you start out doing it, usually because someone else has said something, or you've realized it, but then you're like following someone else's thing, or you're doing this, and then once you start going, then you start doing it for you.
Well, think about this, man. When you started gaining the weight, were you doing it for you? You weren't thinking, oh, I can't wait until I'm gaining weight, right? It came from the extrinsic factors. People making fun of you, or whatever the situation is that made you start gaining weight. And it works in the same way, opposite direction. Like, not necessarily does it always have to come from a place of you're like, I'm gonna be 200 pounds lighter. Maybe you're like, oh, my friend started doing a little bit of something somewhere at the gym or at sport or something. I'm going to start joining them, and you realize that it's like something you start enjoying, and then you're a full on like, now I'm starting to lose weight.
Well, I found a lot within like this whole like fitness thing is people are just like, this is the only way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's one way or like the highway.
Yeah.
And there's just so many everything in life. There's so many factors that contribute to you getting or doing or living or whatever you're doing and getting there. Like that's how it is. Mm-hmm. Like nothing's ever gonna just be straightforward.
Absolutely, no.
Ever.
I've learned that
so,
in my older years. Like I'm old.
Yeah. So to say like this is the only way, it just I don't ever want to like preach that. Like I want to be like, you know, can happen.
This is my way.
This is what's something you can do. This can happen. You know, this is something like there's so many different things. So I want to be able to let people know that it's not going to be a straightforward thing, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
It's adapting, learning yourself, and just doing it. Right?
Here's my last question I got for you. When you were losing the bulk of your weight, now I know it's not necessarily you didn't know as much as you know now.
Oh yeah.
So you did it in a different way. I'm sure if you approached it right now with your knowledge that after these years of lifting stuff, you'd be like, all right, I would have done everything different in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But in general, what was your approach that started the weight loss? Were you running cardio a bunch? Were you doing weightlifting? Were you just going in a slight deficit, or were you doing some like weird strategy where you're like not eating till this time?
So the first month was like experiment month.
Yeah. Of course, right.
The first month, I just started eating less of stuff, and then I tried doing no carb. Like I just would do mixed vegetables and protein. Mm-hmm. And then I just saw like kind of the similar results as to what I was getting eating different stuff. So that I didn't really do much, and then I started using MyFitnessPal to track calories, and I just thought like 1,800 to 2,000 was good enough. So I started like that low from like day one, and for like a year I ate 1,800 calories like every day. But the thing that I contribute to not making it as bad as it could have been, because if I was eating 1,800 calories, being that big for so long, I would have lost weight way faster, and could have done like some like, you know, mental damage. But is I didn't track like super on point. Like what I would do is I would track like at home the foods I make, but then I would always like I've been going out for lunch for like 2 years. It's just what I do. I don't know why. I just enjoy going and having different foods. Like I'm not the type of guy who can do you or you make the same meals all the time.
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty robotic, bro.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've tried meal prepping. It's just not something that works for me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, is like just finding out what works for you. That's a huge part of it. But so I tracked, and then I would like go off lunch, and I'd be like, this is probably close to this, and I was eating probably more around like 2,000 to like 2,500 every day. So it kind of balanced it out, but it wasn't like dead on. But I aimed for like 10 pounds a month.
And was this what like was this?
It was just calories at first.
But did this work, and then you stuck with that, and that's where you kind of just kept going?
Weightlifting and that's it. I would do like 5 minutes of walking as cardio a day. Yeah.
So you found kind of like you kind of accidentally found the deficit that would work for you. Like you didn't look up your total daily energy expenditure.
I had no idea about that stuff until I started tracking macros and like learning all about that.
Side note, if you're watching right now and you're wondering what total daily energy expenditure and how to set up your calories to start your weight loss in a proper way, so you're eating the correct amount of calories, not going way too low or not losing weight in general, you can look up my video. I believe it's just titled How to Lose Fat.
Yeah, you just made it.
Extremely basic. Like it is straight up, no BS, what it is that you need to figure out to start losing weight. Without that whole like, eat green things and only eat things after 10 o'clock. This is the straight information. So I'll leave a link below this video as well.
Yeah. But yeah, at the start it was just that. And I think because I started going to the gym, like my lifestyle started to be more active. Like if friends were like, let's go for a hike. I'd be like, yeah, sure. Like rather than be like, no.
And it would be a little easier too because you have less weight.
I'll quickly tell a short story about that. When I first started my weight loss, I'd lost like 20 pounds and I wanted to go on a hike with friends. I got about a quarter way and I was like lagging them behind and I felt like crap because like they were like having to wait for me. And so I actually like, went home. It was actually like, I felt really bad that day. Like I was just so amped for like how I was doing well. And I thought, you know, I've lost 20 pounds, that's enough for me to go on a hike and like feel good. And I was just like, I hadn't done cardio at that point yet, so it just like wasn't there. And I went home and I was really upset that day. And then like 6 months ago, went with a hike with friends and did that same track. And as soon as I passed like the old place that I hadn't got past, I was just like, I almost like took a moment. I was like, wow.
It just like hit you, right?
Yeah, and then I continued on, did that whole day,
That's
and then
cool,
went home,
dude.
and it was like, It was so weird. Like I almost like saw my old self like visually.
Yeah, yeah.
Like climbing and like going home. And I was like, my old self. Like
That's really cool.
It was
dude.
so weird. Like
it's such a
I was,
roundabout.
like teary and everything.
Yeah,
I was like,
dude.
what?
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing is this life change makes. It's like it's so like the physical is cool about it, but like mentally,
That's the truth.
I've just improved so much as a person. I
100%.
think, and other people think.
100%.
Right, and that alone is worth it to me.
Would you say, and I already know this is a rhetorical question, would you say that the way you live your life, would you say the quality of your life is improved?
Like 1,000-fold.
You're happier?
Yeah.
You're living a more happy life?
Yeah. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just working sales. And I was like, I'll go to school for like business. And I tried that, didn't work out, didn't like it at all. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, no direction.
Yeah. And now it's like, I know, like my passion when I was
awesome,
younger
bro.
was always just helping people.
It like you gave you confidence and direction.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to apply helping people to anything because I was like, I don't really offer anyone anything. And then all of a sudden I found my thing that I was good at, I guess.
So basically, comfort zones are very debilitating. If you stay in your comfort zone, you'll never change. It's freaking so hard to jump out of your comfort zone and say, all right, I'm gonna try to lose weight, man. I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna feel like I look so stupid because I don't know anything, and obviously I'm the big guy in the gym and stuff like that. But if you never freaking start it, you won't realize how big of a gap your life could be. Way better. You could have such a better quality of life. You'd be so much happier. You'd be so much more fulfilled. It's just that first step, yo. Like, just take that step and see if you like the feedback that comes from it. I bet you do. I bet you do.
Yeah.
And then, who knows? You could be having your own transformation. So, anyways, I just wanted to have Danny on the channel. He's
Thanks so much, man.
Longtime friends, a couple of years.
Brian, like when I first started the channel, like 250 pounds. Like you and Beast to Beast were like the first like 2 or 3 guys that I like talked to and watched and was like, oh my gosh, these guys are like celebrities. And then and then since then everything's just like it's been insane.
It really has. It's been a little bit of a ride, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've been friends for a really long time. His story I think is really cool. Also, I haven't heard all the story, so it's kind of cool for me to hear about where it started and everything. I didn't know.
Yeah, I go more into depth about like what happened in my early on in life, and it's like a video on my channel that just talks about like my life.
What's the title of it?
My life, drugs, and like losing my parents.
There you go. So if you want to hear like more of that, you can definitely go to his channel. Regardless, if you don't want to hear more of that and you just want to go follow his channel, go check him out.
Lots of information, weight loss. I do pretty much weight loss motivation. I'm getting more into informative stuff because I did get certified, and I'm looking more like I do a lot more research into studies and you know, what's the science behind stuff. So some people, you know, need that information. So I'm trying to get all tracks to be the best inspiration that I can be to other people.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, check him out. I'll put his link right there in the description below. Watch a couple videos if you like them. Hit the subscribe button. I guarantee you're gonna see some interesting content
If
coming
you guys
up.
like Brian, hit that subscribe button too. He's pretty cool. Would recommend. 10 out of 10.
Thanks. You're a pro YouTuber, bro.
Yeah, would recommend.
If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Team Beyond the Week.
CT.
Lift heavy or die, MIRIN, motherfucker.
Team Beyond the Week.